What's up, class? How's everyone doing today? So, just let me get some things set up real quick. I'm downloading your participation questions. And then we're going to go over what you're kind of going to be working on over spring break, unless you have already gotten a head start on that. And then I'll be introducing you guys to a new project that we're going to I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to get a head start and work on this if you want to submit it for the Artist of Promise. And I'll just kind of explain a little bit more of that one when we get to it. So today's class might not be very long, which I'm sure everyone will be okay with. I just want to make sure. Here we go. Goodness gracious, take forever. I just want to make sure I answer your guys' questions right now, and that also I kind of give you an overview of both of the projects, right? The participation one, I'm sorry, not the participation grade, but the revisions are obviously going to be blah, 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 words. The revision round is obviously going to be one that's due right after spring break. I think I'll check the date that I have in there and make sure that that's fine. But the other project that I'm going to be talking about it's optional. You don't have to start it right now. We will definitely touch on it at some point here shortly after spring break. But I did want to teach you guys one more section before we fully get into that. So this is mostly if you guys feel that that you're feeling well animating right now, you feel confident doing it, you kind of want to have a little bit of freedom and being able to start working on something that you guys have more control over, and that it's going to be less of me giving you instruction and more of me kind of helping you out with techniques and whatnot. So with that being said, let me see here. Delete this one. Extract. All right, first question here is by Eric.
So my question for this week is about the butterfly project. So when I duplicated these three scenes or these compositions, there was this weird issue where the first one was okay-ish, but you can see it's already starting to move over a little bit. And then it gets worse the farther away from the origin. And I don't know what caused it. So any help would be super appreciated.
Eric, are you in the chat today? I notice here that you do have, let me turn this on real quick. Okay. Over here, you have them marked as 3D layers. Let's try and unmark them and see if it does anything. You might have to reanimate the path, specifically the second and the third one that you duplicated. The first one still works fine, but the second and the third one, I'm not quite sure where that issue lies. These continued rasters on. I think it has to do with it being a 3D layer here. So what I would do is I would turn off the 3D layer on each of these and then see or just on one of them first. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, and see if that kind of helps. And what you can also do, right, is if you bring in another composition, you can select these properties right here, your position and scale properties, and you can highlight, you'll want to click directly on the word position and scale, and it will highlight them. If you hold down shift, it'll highlight both at the same time, and you can copy and paste these properties to another layer that you put in, right? So let me just kind of show you what I mean. Which is is this an awesome thing about animating inside of After Effects, is that you can do that. Opening up After Effects. Just give me a second, you guys. That's the only thing that I can think of right now, is that it has to do with it being a 3D layer again. Are you going to open? 12 files missing. I know. Let me just delete these. Okay. So if I were to be in, let's go into the Mountains pre-comp, and I wanted to bring in another, do I have animation on this one? No, but I do on this one. Okay. If I wanted to bring in this Monarch butterfly comp and have these two properties, the same exact thing happening on from this layer to this layer, I will just select this scale, hold down shift, select the opacity, control C, move here, hit control V, and then as soon as I hit U, you'll see that the same exact keyframes have like copied over from this layer to this one. And then if I play this, it does the scaling in and the bumping out. It's weird because of obviously whatever's going on with this comp. It doesn't necessarily translate over the same. Let me see here. Because this here, I will, let me tell you this right now, Eric. This, oh, that's because it's revealing. That's what's happening. This one right here, because it was a reveal, right? So if I just shut that off, you'll see that it, and then it would repeat or whatever, do whatever I wanted it to do. But notice that I didn't have any issues, even though this, everything inside of this Monarch butterfly composition is a 3D, is marked as 3D layers. This one is not. But then as soon as I'm curious. I don't know. Try and clicking that, see what happens. And then if not, just see if you can drag each one of these in and then just kind of copy and paste the properties if that one works for you. If it doesn't work, let me know and we'll try and troubleshoot it a little bit more. Maybe we can jump on a call or something and get that one figured out for you. All right, Asia is going to be next.
Hello. My question for this week about the assignment was, I know we used paths to make an icon track along a line, but I was wondering if in After Effects there are any other techniques on how to make an image or an icon track along a line without using paths. I'm just curious. Thank you.
Good question. No, that's the way you would do that. Any other way beyond that would be too complicated. Essentially, like just having your line and just drawing or animating the position over it. You could do that, but I would not do it any other way. This is the best way at the moment on how to animate an object or like an icon along a path. So I wouldn't, let me see. I know that there is. Yeah, no. Just that way. I was just looking through here to see if I could find anything, but no. That is the only way. That is the easiest way. That is the way. I don't know if I have any like Grogu fans or Mandalorian fans in here, but oh no, Brandon, your audio is cutting out. Maybe it has to do with the rastering of the thing. I don't know, Brandon. Just dang, this sucks because I know it's a question for this. Go ahead and write me in Canvas or underneath this participation grade, right in there what the question was, and I'll answer it for you because I want to get the answer if you're having issues with something, but just couldn't hear it tonight. All right,
Hey, so my
Brian.
question for this week has to do with, um, it's not very course related and more personal. So, what we've learned so far in Cinema 4D, do you think that would transfer over well over here to Blender? Because once our Maxon subscription ends, uh, I'll probably be switching back to Blender here. And I was just wondering if all we've learned in Cinema 4D, because I noticed the layouts are similar, so do you think it would, the knowledge would translate well? You know, with like rendering and the animation part and texturing, coloring, because I do want to get to, you know, use Blender to use more of the abilities in Blender, and it'd be cool if what we've learned could transfer over. So that's about it for this week. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Brian. It should transfer. The Blender has really picked up its game as like an open source 3D modeling program when I first started school, and Blender was like becoming more popular. I would say it was just kind of being introduced into the world of 3D, and people were starting to work in there and kind of do basic stuff. And then in the past few years it's really exploded as far as like the capabilities of the program and what it can do. And yeah, I mean it'll everything that you're learning here should translate easily over to there, right? Because you're just taking the concepts and you're moving what you're learning and you're applying it just in a different program. Really, the only thing you have to learn is layout. Now, where I think that Cinema 4D excels more is like in physics, in the physics engines, and also in lighting and texturing. And so you can get similar, like there are similarities between the programs, but you know, obviously the industry standard ones which you're paying for, like Cinema 4D or Autodesk programs, are going to be a little bit more robust. But I'll tell you right now that Blender's catching up, and there are a lot of industry professionals who work in Blender and do things in Blender. Are they like Pixar movies? No. But are there like personal projects and other stuff they work in? Sure, yeah. Yeah, so you should be able to translate what you learn in class over to there. You know, it's just figuring out where, like, navigating through everything is. All right, let me just check here real quick. I need to double check that I'm live because no one's in the chat. That's unusual. Where's my mod? Okay, yeah, cool. All right, next question is Zoe.
So, for this week's question, I kind of just wanted to see if you had any guidance for making this a little bit smoother. I feel like I just didn't quite get it right. I tried to tweak a couple things, but I feel like it doesn't really look like a pop. I feel like it looks a little bit strange. So, yeah, here's my graph for the scale. So yeah, let me know what I could have done a little bit better.
Let me zoom over to here.
Here's my graph for the scale.
And pause it. Dang it. Let me see if there's a way. I'm going to bring your video. In fact, I think I did it here. Let me see. let's view on the scale what my curve looks like. So your curve is kind of there, right? Like obviously this one, our curves are very similar. This one takes more time, right? Like it's happening over a longer period of time. But really the pop motion, it's like smooth. You want it to be smooth, a smooth motion coming into this one, right? And then a nice smooth motion going down to here where it's going to pop back into place flat like you have it. And then notice how it's kind of like an S curve going from here, from this keyframe right here to this keyframe right here. Let me do that again. Right? There's like more of an S curve happening there. So it's mostly because of how quickly it's happening. And that's why it feels like it's so jerky and like it doesn't, it's not a smooth motion. So if you want, what you can do is decrease the space in between this and this keyframe to buy yourself a little bit more room in between here from where it comes back to settle down to the original size, right? You can also play, so mostly I think your timing is what is going to be something that you have to work out there. I want to see your curve again.
So, for this week's question, I kind of just wanted to see if you had any
I thought yours was kind of smooth.
guidance.
Here's the other thing is that, oh gosh, it's going to drive me nuts. It goes up here, then to here. I think this part should be equal to that keyframe, right? Let's look at mine real quick. Go back to the graph editor. Yeah, I believe so. No, they're on different lines, so yeah, I would just work out the timing right in between this section right here. And you should get something a little bit more smooth. And if not, you just match it up to the voiceover as much as you can. Or what you can do is, like I said, you can tap the voiceover over. Roger. You can tap the voiceover further down the timeline so it doesn't start right away. So it buys you another second or two in the beginning to really bring that in. And you can leave the music where it is, right? And you just move the voiceover. So like this. If I wanted, let's see here. Here's a voiceover. Let me LL. I'm going to keep the music starting where it is. I'll lock it so I don't move it on accident. And then I'm going to take this line and I'm going to start it. Let's start it right there. So we have 1 full second.
Every winter, Monarch.
So you have a little bit more time right here before it just starts right away at the beginning of the timeline. Or you can move it over a little bit further, right? You can visually line up the beats where things are happening in the music and where you want your voiceover to kind of come in to play, right? I wouldn't do it any further than this section though. Because if you wait, notice how I'm lining up the hit in the song, like the upbeat in the song with his voiceover when he starts talking. We'll play it again.
Every winter, monarch butterflies migrate from North America to Latin America. Monarchs use.
And then it lines up really nicely. If you put it too far back, like let's try right here. See what it sounds like that. This section.
Every winter, monarch.
That's not bad. As far as coming right back here, I think it's gonna be too long. It's gonna take too long. No, not that noise.
Every winter.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to this spot right here on the song. Like I wouldn't line the voiceover with this section in the song right here in the beginning. I would no later than this little pop that's happening right here. Woo, crazy. Drunk driving line. Nice PSA, don't drive inebriated. I shouldn't have to say that though. Yeah. And then if you buy that more time in the beginning, you could take all that time to add that nice smooth looking pop to the icon. So good question though, Zoe. All right, we have Lee.
Hi, Miss Makara. So, looking at this grade sheet, are we gonna know what the next assignment is before or after spring break?
Before. Like you want to know, I'm unsure as if you want to know what your grade is going to be. I think I put the grades in for let me just double check, but I thought I put them in for the 3 scene animation, didn't I? Didn't I? I thought I did. Yeah, I put grades in for the 3 scene animation. You did a great job on yours, Lee. And then, yeah, we're going to talk about what the next project is right now. So, I will actually, let me go to the modules and I will publish this. Let me change the date. I'm going to put the date on this one for far in advance, so don't worry. Right now, I'll give you more of a date. Here, I'll just put April 1st for... Okay. And we'll go over that one here in a second. The design your own 3 scene animation. We'll go over that one in a bit. All right. Lee, number 2.
So as I'm doing this in the middle of finishing the mini project for the butterflies, so far I'm like having fun with it. Honestly, I didn't know what the eraser tool was used for, and it's pretty cool. I kind of like it. I think I'd use it more now, knowing how it works. Specifically when I'm doing like eyes.
You're talking about in
and
Illustrator, yeah,
in
definitely.
Illustrator or other stuff, just making cool little patterns with it. Also, the compound path with the gradient looked really fun to do, and it made like the whole process just so much easier than having to do each gradient in a different shape.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say a question for this week would have to be, I didn't know that you could just like only, that wasn't a question, that was just a statement that I learned. But I would say, is After Effects, you can also use it only for like 2D animation, or could you use it for like 3D, like we could switch to like a 3D layer, but like could we, let's say if we took something from like our 3D designs, we put it in there, could we still like animate it how we wanted to, or would we have to animate it into the animation program?
So I'm happy, first of all, I'm happy that you enjoyed learning more of the tools inside of Illustrator, because Illustrator is so awesome. I really enjoy Illustrator. I think they fine-tuned it enough to where like I really enjoy it. The tools, I mean, some of the tools took forever. Like I was waiting for them to get a symmetry tool where you could have symmetrical patterns for like the longest time. So it took them a while to get there, but they've done a pretty good job in these last several updates with it. So I'm happy to hear that you're enjoying working inside of Illustrator a little bit more. As far as bringing 3D work into After Effects, there is, let me see here, an option. There used to be where you could work in something called Cinema 4D Lite. And essentially it's linked, it's not as dense of a version of Cinema 4D as what you get when you pay for the full version. It's like a very basic stripped down version of it, but it works with After Effects. Now you have to, if you're going to animate something inside of, if you need it animated in 3D, actual 3D, you will be animating it in Cinema 4D or Blender or Autodesk, like 3ds Max and stuff like that. You can work in, like, there's a way to link projects into I haven't done it in a long time, but there is a way to link them. And bringing in like a Cinema 4D project into After Effects. But you still have to animate inside of Cinema 4D. There used to be C4D Lite. I'm not quite sure how to get to it because I haven't used it in like a very, very long time. Maxon. There we go. New Maxon Cinema 4D file. So if you click that, then you can bring... Let's bring that in here. Let's try it. No, I don't want to replace. Maybe it's asking me if I want to open up a new one. Let's try there. What's going to happen? I got the wheel. The wheel's happening. So something's going on. My computer is thinking. Okay, so it's bringing... This popped up. Adobe After Effects includes a free license of Cinema 4D Lite. If you do not own C4D, you will be asked to create a free Maxon account. At that time, you can choose to utilize Lite or 14-day trial of the full version. Once the trial ends, it will revert back to C4D Lite with no time limitations. So there... Oh, nice. If you later wish to upgrade, you can. So I'll hit OK. And Cinema 4D is pulling up. This one... oh, cool. Yeah, so it's putting it into like a Cinema 4D. Ooh, maybe we'll have to create a project like that. Activate my license. Okay, now it's wanting me to like... I did reinstall my license the other day, but I did it all on my other computer. But yeah, so you can, but you still have to animate inside of Cinema 4D. But you can view things inside of After Effects. And you can... I believe like it will be a live... Obviously it won't be like it continues. Like if you have an animation in there, I don't think it will play very smoothly between them. But I'll mess around with that and see, so I can give you like more of a solid answer of what kind of stuff you can do within that when you work like within the programs together. Because look, it brought it into here. I wonder if I can... Nope. That was a big no-go. Let me delete that. Okay. But yes, overall, yeah, they work together, but you still have to do things inside of one. All right, and I don't know why I closed that because I've been using it. My chaotic mouse. So if you guys ever have, it's expensive, but this mouse right here, this mouse, it's an ergonomic mouse from Logitech, and it is phenomenal, especially if you guys have wrist issues, or you should prevent wrist issues by getting an ergonomic mouse. Can't recommend it more. Okay, so let's go to Nolan.
Hi, so my question this week is when I was working on this project, I wanted to transition between the first one and the second one to be cleaner. I mean, I liked what I made, but I was wondering, how do you blur? Like, I would want to blur the first butterfly, so it kind of transitions better. So I don't know if I missed it, but how do you blur, or how do you make it a better transition than what I have? Thank you.
Good question. I don't know what's missing. There, that's missing. I would add the blur and animate the blur. So you can, like this part right here you're talking about, right? And it looks kind of, right here, it looks not bad, but that's because it's not really revealing anything under. But as soon as I flip this on, it will reveal that layer. So let's start with that. Okay, so we have our layer that is here. Let me see. Yeah, scaling icon. That way you guys know. So we have our scaling icon layer. And then you're going to want to go in here. Let's look at, maybe we can try, the radial blur might be a little heavy. Let's increase that amount. That's kind of neat though, right? And then you would just animate the amount. Whether you're using the Gaussian blur, the radial blur, notice how it's like, you can change this. This is how it's like essentially warping the way your blur works and warping kind of the lens. And so you can change the kind of shape of it right here. That's the cool thing about the radial blur. You can't animate that, can you? Yeah. That is essentially the amount. It is, this little graph here is a visualization of the blur amount that is happening. So as I increase this number right here, this will start to change. It'll update like that. And so then, right, let's say that's kind of where we want it. We're going to peak it, have the peak happen right there of the blur. And then I want it to be 0 right here. And then I want it to go back to 0 right here. Well, the opacity fades out. So I don't have to do that. I'll just drag this one keyframe over. And we'll offset it so that it looks better. And then I will, instead of putting the motion blur on here, right, I'll just shut that off. And then let's see. Don't forget, though, then you have to put the blur, you have to animate the blur at the beginning of your pop when it pops on. And then that kind of gives it more of like a smooth blur versus this one, which is a little bit more stepped and chunky. Because you can see right here each and every iteration of it that's like expanding and also fading out, almost like an echo, right? Think of it like the echo effect. And so, you know, it sells it. But if you wanted to make it a more of a smooth blur, I would animate a blur effect on that specific layer. Whether you're using the radial blur or the Gaussian blur. Gaussian blur is like the, oh, come on. AU. Here. Okay. Gaussian blur, Gaussian, you'll hear people say it different ways. Or radial blur. Blue blur. There you go. 2 different blurs that you can use within this project. Just if you do use them, don't forget to animate them, or else you'll have like an entire blurry scene, and that's not what you want. So, all right, we have Janelle next.
Hello. So my question is with the mountain scene. Right at the end of the animation, my butterfly kind of gets stuck right at the end there, at the edge of the frame. Obviously, this didn't affect my main composition because the scene gets cut off at the end. But if I did need this entire scene, I don't know how I would fix that or why that's even happening there. So yeah, thank you.
Good question. It has to do with your path of your butterfly. So let me turn that off. Turn on my butterflies, flutterbys. Okay, so it's like if the path kind of each butterfly here at the end, In fact, I don't think I have to turn that on. No, I do not. Okay, so if you're looking at your timeline and you have the layer here, here's this top monarch butterfly. And if I just click on the layer and scrub through, it's going to show me the path that the butterfly is on. Now, notice here in your timeline are the keyframes. You don't want to move over it and then try and select and move it, because then, oh, it does work. You can do that. Last time I feel like it wasn't working. Maybe it was something else I was doing. But you can just make sure you're not adding an additional keyframe, and just, like, if you were to select this one right here, for some reason it was starting too far away, and notice that when I clicked on that, it selected the keyframe, it highlighted it down here, letting me know I'm not adding a keyframe, I'm just adjusting this one, right? And then you can pull it further off screen so that it doesn't show on the tail of the animation. All right, Jessica.
I have a question about the animation industry and the motion graphics, particularly tools that we use. In animation, is drawing on a tablet or just using a keyboard and mouse more recommended? And would that depend on the software and the type of animation we work with?
Yeah, it's going to definitely depend on, I have drawing tablets. Working in After Effects, it's a little bit easier to use a keyboard and your mouse. But I know people who do have Wacom tablets. In fact, the school has a bunch of Wacom tablets that they offer students to check out. So, or at least use at the school. So if you guys want to use that as a resource, you can. Obviously, if you're going to be doing hand-drawn animation, you're definitely going to want to work with a drawing tablet. I recommend, if you guys do start with a drawing tablet, there are some brands of, not sponsored by the way, just kidding. Let me see here. Drawing tablets. There's some competitive companies that have been coming out with some decent, yes, Huion tablets are awesome. And for the price, like, I know this is obviously like a really deep price, but this is a 24-inch 4K screen on it, so you're paying really for the screen. But Huion has been like a massive competitor to Wacom. I have a Wacom. I actually do not like it. It is like, there's it has drivers that you have to update, similar to the drivers in your graphics card for your PC or your laptop. And for some reason, I get issues with those all of the time. And it used to give me issues on a Mac as well. And so if I were to repurchase one, knowing that, I would go for a Huion, because you can find one comparable at a cheaper cost. They're not as expensive actually as Wacom, and they have decent looking like screens and stuff. And you can also buy one, like if you don't have the screen on it, you can buy these pen tablets where you just get used to looking up and drawing, right? Like these ones right here, because you have your little indicators of these little white corner marks indicate your screen essentially. So if you're drawing within that space and you're looking up, you'd be surprised though. You get used to it really quickly because I mean, we type and we look at the screen and we don't have to look down anymore. It just takes a little practice. These ones aren't bad. These little Wacom ones are worth the $55. So if you want to get them like that. And then, yeah, Amazon. Hand-drawn animation, obviously you're going to use one of those. And you can use those, I mean, still within these programs, but there's limitations because the program doesn't really support the pen usage. It's kind of weird, but and there's a lot more clicking and typing that you actually have to do inside of After Effects. Cinema 4D, when you're not necessarily animating, but when you are modeling, like using ZBrush and stuff, that's a great time to have like a pen tablet. That's when I would want to have one as well, because you can get in and get the detail. I do know, actually, there is also an app that you can download. You have to pay for it. It's a paid app. It's not free. But if you have an iPad, you can use your iPad. Your iPad as like a pen tablet as well, where you can essentially, I think you hook it up. It's like either a wireless hookup. It's a little laggy, you know. It's not perfect, but it works. If you're stuck in a bind, try that, you know. And I think there's like a trial, like a 14-day trial. It's called Fox something. Let me see. Turn your iPad into a drawing tablet. AstroPad. AstroPad. Project Blue opens new tabs. Is that what that is? Let me Jujol. Let me Jujol. AstroPad. Yeah, it's a dog, not a fox, but close. Here we go. There you go. So you guys can use AstroPad. Oh, cool. They have like physical stuff. Does anyone want a gift card? JK, no one's in the chat. No one gets one. Oh, just kidding. But yeah, cool. You have like gestures and stuff that you can use. So the difference is, right? Like if you have an iPad and you have, actually, good thing for you guys to know. If you do have an iPad and you have the Adobe Creative Suite, you can download that. And I believe there's for sure Illustrator, and then there's like a fast version of Premiere Pro, but that one sucks. And then there's a Photoshop app that you can also use. And those, they're working the kinks out of them, right? Like obviously they don't work as well as Vectornator. I think that's the name of it. And there's like another vector program that works really well. And obviously like Procreate, right? Like Procreate is essentially Photoshop, but made for an iPad. So it'll take a while before it gets up to it. But using that AstroPad app, that one allows you to use the entire program. Like if you're, the problem with the Adobe Suite programs on as an app on your iPad is they don't have all the features. Like you don't get all the effects that you would have inside of these programs. Where this, it's mirroring your PC. So it's the entire program. So you could even mirror After Effects if you wanted to on there. So I would try this first if you guys have an iPad somewhere around the house. See if this works. Try the free trial and see if you like it, if it's enough to buy it. All right, next question. Next question. I'm sorry my screen flashes. It's like every time I hover over something. Yvette.
Okay, hello, this is Yvette. I'll be doing the participation grade on the recent butterfly project. Out of all the projects we've done, this is one of my favorites due to the fact that it's we had to use Illustrator. I love using Illustrator. It's one of my favorite things to do on my free time. Plus it's an After Effects, so I feel like it's a little more easier compared to the Cinema 4D. So overall this project was pretty fun. It was a little time consuming.
Pause it. You're missing assets. Just letting you know. I'm not mad or anything. I'm just letting you know. And I'm sure it warned you before you open this up, but link those suckers.
But it was fun. So I did enjoy it.
And I'm happy that you like doing this so far.
I loved making the butterfly, honestly. This is all scratch butterfly, and then I did make the mountains and such, but sadly I don't know why it got cut out. But as you could tell, I did make the animation of the clouds there somewhere, and then
yeah, just link them. So just right click on this. Let me bring you in. Let me bring you into my studio. All right. Here you will right click, you go to replace footage file, and then you find the new one. Make sure that you guys are keeping an organized, my brain almost didn't say what my mouth was. I don't know what was happening. File structure. Something similar, I recommend, unless you have your own, that's fine, but something similar to this, right? In fact, After Effects I don't know. I have 2 different files there because that's the most recent one. Let's see. Let's open it up. Save. It's empty. I'm going to delete it. Okay. So, okay, let's hold down shift. If you hold down shift and hit delete, you will delete it permanently. So make sure you want to delete something permanently before you do that. Because then you'll be crying and then you'll be Googling frantically, like, how do I recover files on my computer? I've done it before, that's why. I'm letting you guys know, just know you want to do it. And then what I'm going to do, here's a great thing, because this is going to unlink, great example of how things get unlinked. I have my project file sitting outside of the After Effects folder that I made specifically for it to sit in, right? So I'm like, oh man, I want to move that back into, I want to move that where it goes. So I'm going to grab them and I'm move them. Then I'm going to open up my Monarch animation and it auto linked because nothing else changed. So, and also because I don't think I'm using, but sometimes that happens. Oh no, because I have like the VOs in here. Sometimes it'll happen, sometimes it won't. If you move your project file or if you move your assets, right? If you move these from wherever it was before, they're going to unlink. And so then just having this set up is, it's going to keep you organized right off the bat. Here's my After Effects files. Anything After Effects with the .aep extension on it goes in here. Any assets that I have. Photos. Sometimes, here, let me show you guys one that has to do with my work. This is, for example, my work drive. These are my clients that I have. And if I click on, let me click on one that I know for sure. I'm going to click on this one. It's going to take me. Not responding. Boo. Never mind. Oh, come on, buddy. Anyways, having those subfolders, you should be able to, like, if you have someone else at your house that's tech savvy, you should build a folder structure, put things in it, and then ask them to navigate to it. Find me this picture, find me this song inside this folder. And if they can't do it, then you know you're like having issues, right? Okay, perfect. I open that clients, and then here is this project, right? This is any kind of raw footage that I would have in there, which for this project we didn't have any. My After Effects files, any assets. So like, notice I have stock images and font templates. Then I have audio, so any kind of music, any assets from the client themselves, like that has to do with branding, I put in there. Documents, like storyboard documents or maybe documents from the client, branding, a branding package. My Premiere for Premiere Pro, and then rendering and uploads, right? The renders for me would be proxies, which are what you do. You run proxies when you have footage that's like in 4K so that your computer can actually run it. But yeah, having a strong file structure will avoid all of that stuff.
The mountains are in the background, and I really liked how it turned out. I don't know why it got cut out. In the video that I turned in, it shows the cloud, so that's all I care about. But yeah, I don't know why it didn't get put in there. But yeah, I think the one thing that was kind of frustrating with this project was I'm trying to remember. I think it was this part, because when I first did it, I would try to get the butterfly on the path, and it kept on, like, I think I was putting in the positions wrong somewhat, or I would paste it in the wrong thing, but I kind of had to do that over and over again, which was a little annoying. I ended up figuring it out though, but I think that was the only thing that I was having that I struggled with. Besides that, I think that was the only thing I struggled with. I didn't really have much of a struggle with this project, so that was all good.
I'm happy.
As for something that I learned. I think the one thing I learned was with like when it came to animating the 2D stuff, the whole cutting it out thing, the masking for like the clouds to be able to move them one on one was pretty cool. I never really thought I was able to do that with like 2D things in a way. And so when I did that part, I realized I could this could be easily done with like little things that I've done in graphic designing. All I have to do is put it in After Effects and it's pretty much animated, which is pretty cool. So I'll be probably doing that for like old little side projects of for myself for like a hobby or whatever. But yeah.
Another way
Overall,
to avoid that masking for you guys is if you're inside of Illustrator and you just put those cloud layers and you put them on separate layers, right? Like, so you just create one cloud on one layer, add a layer, add another cloud. And then when you import it into After Effects, it'll have its own separate layer, and that way you don't have to mask them. But if you happen to forget and create it all on one, let's do film. 1920 1080 72 dpi, great. So let's make a quick cloud. Okay, check this. Let's get rid of that. Oh, someone likes me. All right, guys, sorry about that. Wrong. Actually, we could put them together like this. Check this out. Let's see if it works like this. All right, I want a cloud. I'm going to make it kind of like this, right? So it's real blocky. I'm going to take all of these and I'm going to select them. I'm going to hit Shift M. And what that is this tool right over here, which is the Shape Builder tool, which is the coolest tool ever because it makes this so easy to do. So you have a bunch of objects laid on top of each other. You select them all, and then you grab that Shape Builder tool and you click and you drag and you highlight things that you want to become all one singular shape. And so now this like cloud that I created is one single shape. All those tiny little squares is now one shape. Now if I hit A, or not, if I hit A, I get these little options right here, which I then can drag in and round it off. The problem is once these are all, let me see if I select these separate. Let's undo this. Let's select like these. Might have just been easier to do it as a circle, but okay, cool. Let's select just all the rounded specific parts there. I want this part to be rounded. Okay, interesting, right? These are obviously like an illustrated, different looking style. I just wanted to try it out and see if it works. And it seems to be okay. Might not happen there. Let's select this one. Fun with Illustrator. Oh yeah, this is turning quickly not into a cloud, but that looks like I mean, it could go in a Mario game, right? A Luigi flies off the skate ramp. I'm entertaining myself because I am no one today. But you could just grab this rectangle tool, turn it into an ellipse, create it like this, kind of line it up. Right, you could do this, making sure that you're lining up with the bottom corner because you want that bottom corner to not really show. Then you create another one, and then we create another big one, and then probably one like this, and then let's just fill that last one out right here. And then hit V, drag and select all of them, Shift M, and then drag it all over, color it in. There we go. Let go. And you have a cloud. Very quick way to make clouds or just shapes like this. And then you'll just go here and create a new layer and then do the same thing. Right? And then you have separate clouds on there where you don't have to mask everything out. But like I said, if you accidentally drew them all in the same
A lot
shape
of
layer, you
fun.
can mask them out.
Let me see. But that also goes for the ideas that I was mentioning, that I'll probably do my own little side projects in the future.
Guess what? You'll have that opportunity here soon.
But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Bum, bum, bum. I'm obviously in a mood today. Sorry, guys. All right, Angelina.
Hello.
Hello.
So I am working on the Principles of Motion Design, the Cinema 4D one, and I'm working on the die, and this has happened a couple times where I put a material down in like just this view, and then when I do the Control R to render it, it doesn't show up in that view, even though it's on there. So I've been having to do it like when I
saw it.
Sorry.
I saw it. Your little corgi dog. I love corgis. I think everyone loves a corgi, but you don't have any lights in your scene. You have to add lights in your scene, or else it's not going to show those materials. And so once you add those lights, you shouldn't have a problem.
Do my rendering, I have to do it in viewport because for some reason when I do it from this one,
That's
it's
okay.
not loading the textures. And then my other question with this project is he's talking about the second bounce. So I'm doing the first one. Are we only doing one?
No, 3
Because
bounces.
he says to do all 96 frames. So I was just wondering, do I need another one at the end here? And could I just copy the one that I did here?
Yes,
and
you can.
Then move it to
Yeah.
the second.
If you watch
when
my
it's hit
videos
here and just have it
from
bounce
that
there, so
lesson,
it's like a loop.
let me let you finish. I'm sorry.
I'll mess around with it, obviously, so hopefully I can try and figure that out. But the rendering thing is very annoying. I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah, Angelina. So, the render thing, you have to have lights in your scene. If you watch my video where I go over it, again, and you're going to want to have, yes, you can copy and paste those keyframes because you do want to have 3 total bounces with the squash and stretch happening. Let me see. Are you going to open for me today? Cinema 4D. I think it's this one. Please open, don't give me grief. Oh, my Lanta. Click here. I want to activate it. Let's sign in. Come on, bud. Please work. Assign a license. Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. It should work now. I'm trying to open it for you, Angelina. All right, cool. Here we go. Bring it on in. I have an entire scene set up. So I added the studio backdrop from your assets folder or from the asset browser. And then I added a target light And I copied that over. So I have 2 lights in my scene. So if I look outside of my dice and I move backwards, you can see that I have everything set up here. So you're going to want to set it up like this, right? So look for, in your asset browser, you're going to click here and you're going to type in backdrop. And you'll get the studio back. No, don't type in backdrop. Type in studio. Studio. And then you'll see it here. Yeah, I mean, I guess it didn't matter either way. You can grab that one and throw that in. And then you just, over here, you're going to select some lights in here, right? You're going to go here and select a target light. You're going to duplicate it and put it over here. So you have both a key light and then a fill light right here. And then the backdrop will be in there, and then you got to add your camera in. And then once you do that, you should be able to see the floor and stuff. And then remember, I said you'll probably have issues with the floor texture, so it's probably best to just use a regular material here, like a plain plastic type material for that. But, and then, oh no, don't do that. Cancel that. Let's see how many bounces I have total. I think I have 3. 1, 2, 3 happening. 3 bounces we want to see. So, yeah, copy and paste those keyframes. And then you will be all set. All right, Juliana.
So my question is doing like the pre-composing things, is that better? Like, does it make it so everything runs on the computer easier? I think there's a better way to word that. Is it better to do those, like, to make those so your computer has like less to do?
I know what you're saying. Like, your
Or
computer's not
is-
running as hard. Like, your computer doesn't have to think as much. No, it's just to keep things organized. It's like an organization and a filing system within inside of After Effects. And sometimes you have to do it in order to get something to work. Like, sometimes you'll be coming up on an issue and you're like, why isn't it working? You're like, I don't understand. Just try pre-composing it, and sometimes it just fixes the issue. It's a really weird glitch that happens inside of After Effects. It doesn't make anything run smoother, but it keeps your timeline cleaned up. Because what's going to happen is, if you were to take all of those, let's say you not only had, and sometimes it's let me backtrack just slightly here. Sometimes you have to have a pre-composition. You have to have it pre-comped in order to do different things with it, right? Like, for instance, creating the butterfly flapping on its own had to be done, and you had to pre-compose that in order to move the entire butterfly along and then duplicate it and do it over and over again. Or else you would have a massive amount of file, like layers in one composition, and it would just get really overwhelming. You'd be scrolling for a really long time. So it's
Is it,
more like
the
a
same amount of
tidiness.
work, no matter what? Like,
It's the same amount.
If if whatever you're working on is big and chunky, it's still gonna like take as
Be
much
big and
effort
chunky.
for your computer
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't really slow your computer down more.
Hello. About your
But
sausage
let me
fingers.
just pause. I wasn't ready to get to your question, Bear, but that was really funny place to stop. I have to compose myself for a second. I'm like literally tearing up. That made me laugh. Back to Juliana's question. It does not use up more brain power of your computer. No, all in all, it does not. I completely forgot what I was going to say, though. So sorry. All right, Bear. To your question.
Hello. About your sausage fingers. It's okay because I got a couple Viennas over here. But I was gonna say I didn't notice that in the audio until watching the video because when I was like, even when I was playing it back, I didn't have my headphones on, so I didn't here, but it was like just the right side was just the audio and the left side was the voiceover. So I will fix that. I don't know like where I messed up on that or how I could have done that,
Sometimes things
but I'll
happen.
just like
It's okay.
delete it and redo it because I'm
Yeah,
like
that's what
I
I
don't
would do
even know
too.
where I could have
Done that at.
messed
Yeah.
that up at. Um I
It
will
could
add
have.
the motion blur for sure. I
Cool. It could have just been something that happened with inside of After Effects or when you're rendering it. It could be maybe a render setting that's on there, but I doubt because you guys haven't gone like in depth into the render settings. But if it's still happening, like if you render it, put headphones on, listen to it, and if it's still happening, let me know and we'll
did
work
see
through it.
everybody having the motion blur and I realized like dang I forgot the motion blur on the
A lot
scaling
of people
size
forget
part
that.
of the butterfly like right at the beginning. So I'll fix that. And
Cool.
also there was something that I like couldn't figure out that I was gonna ask. Oh, I was trying to align the butterfly to the path to like to follow the origin, but it was like every time I did that, they were like upside down. So I was like, so I just didn't even have that on there. You probably didn't notice it, but I totally took the aligning the to the origin off because the butterfly like tipped it upside down and it was like going backwards. It was just like I
Yeah,
was
so
like,
you
oh, this is
offset
too
it.
much. I'm
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. So I think it probably happened when you initially put it on the path. And so when that happens, just remember that you can flip it and reverse it. As far as like our queen, Missy Misdemeanor Elliott would say, right? She would say to flip it and reverse it. So you would want to just change the rotation of the butterfly so it faces the right direction. And then if it's going the wrong way in the path, remember mine was going like backwards when I first started. You just select all your keyframes, you right click, go to keyframe assistant. Where is it? I'm not on it. Hold on. You have to make sure you're clicking on the key. Right click, keyframe assistant, time reverse them. And that'll just flip it around. And then it does everything backwards. And so then it'll go the right way on there. But yeah, so that can be a little confusing at first. You have to just adjust
there somewhere.
everything.
But also I will add multiple tumbleweeds. I was like kind of scared of
No, don't be scared.
doing too much because I wanted to add more cactus and stuff, but I'm like I didn't know if it was gonna be like too busy in the background to have it like to have all that. So I will add that for sure.
Yeah, just remember when you're adding stuff, like if with the tumbleweeds, what you could do is change the opacity so they're not as visible as the butterflies, and just don't have a ton of them on screen at the same time. Like just maybe one or two, maybe three little, like, and change their variation of their size and stuff, and change where they are in space, and just have them kind of floating along there, because then it'll just add a little bit more of a visual interest, kind of like the clouds do, right? And you just make sure it's not detracting. I'm happy that you're thinking ahead, right? Like you don't want to detract from the main part of the animation, which is the monarch butterflies, but you can add more things into it. Just make sure they're subtle, right? Subtlety is key.
I was wondering when are we supposed to submit the our reversions for this assignment and the last one? When are those due exactly? Because
We're
I
going to talk
was
about that today
curious when we could
for the
redo them.
revision. Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think I have anything else I need to say, but thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Awesome, Bear. We'll talk about that. All right, Nick.
Hello. My question for this week is rather simple. While doing this week's assignment, in After Effects, I noticed that he had some special things on the display in After Effects in the timeline little thingy. In that bottom bar, it had the rotation and many other things. I don't have that available to me. My question is why?
Oh, no. Okay, so down at the bottom here, Nick, there are these little toggles that you can turn on. If they're blue, that means they're turned on. If they're grayed out, that means they're off, right? And so sometimes, like if those are shut off, you won't be able to see certain things. It'll look like this. And so you just want to click this one and click this one. Now this one right here is your in and out duration. You're not going to use that one really very often. And this one right here is the, what is this one? The render time pane. It just tells how long it's taking to render. So you don't need that either right now, because sometimes people use that in order to see, like when they have a really heavy animation happening inside of their composition, they'll turn that on to see which frames are taking the longest, and they'll just like turn those frames off so that they can just see the motion in general without any effects on it. But yeah, that is where those would be. So again, down here in the bottom, you'll just want to make sure these two are on for sure. And that way you'll get, this one's going to show, this one right here is going to show like your track mat and your modes. And this one right here is going to show all of these things right here. So that is how you toggle that on and off. You can also change your work view kind of like you do in Cinema 4D. You can go to your workspace and you can change your workspaces up here, which will show different things. But I just recommend working in the default workspace until you get comfortable in it. But yeah, so those are the questions for this week. Good job on those questions, you guys. Let me open up kind of what we're doing. All right. So, not this one yet. We'll talk about this one in a second. Let me go back. Well, let me just do this real quick. All right, so revisions 1. We have here, I put the due date on March 22nd, which should be good because spring break starts, I think, technically tomorrow, all the way through the 19th. So I didn't want to make it due the 20th for you guys. I want to give you guys a little bit of a break there. But it will be due on Wednesday the 22nd. So inside of that, revisions, right? I'm just going to read off of this so you guys know. It's time to improve the projects that we've completed. It's a critical part of the animation process or anyone's process when you're doing this kind of stuff. It's part of your job, right? This is a day-to-day thing that you're going to deal with. So I want you guys to make the changes indicated in the feedback videos and comments and re-upload to this assignment. This assignment specifically, you're going to make all of the changes. You're going to put it into one MP4 and you're going to submit it into this assignment. All of those changes that I've given you guys. Anytime I watch your videos and I tell you what needs to be updated, that is feedback. That is revisions that you need to make. And so I want you to either watch the past videos where I've talked about those, or go into those projects and look up the notes that I have, like the comments next to your submissions, and make those changes. And then that's how you're going to submit this project. That's what I'm looking for within this. If you turn in a late assignment and miss the opportunity for feedback, which I try and make sure I give feedback for everyone, and that's why I made sure that on the 3rd, last Friday, is when everyone's stuff was due, right? Like no more late work after that. We want it all turned in. But if for some reason you didn't get that feedback, watch other students' feedback in the videos and learn from what they have to change and see, does it determine like what changes do I need to make, right? Where do I need to make those changes? Is the same thing happening to me? Do I have my blur on? Are things eased? Are my camera movements inside of Cinema 4D linear? Like those are the things that you're going to want to look for inside of any projects that you're going to resubmit, right? So I want you to kind of go through the checklist of them and make sure you have all those things done. These are the specific projects that I want to see within this revision round. Come on. These ones right here. So, 1, the bouncing ball. 2, typography and motion design. 3, Cinema 4D Principles of Motion Graphics and the After Effects Principles of Motion Graphics. I am not going to add this current butterfly one into there. You guys can do it if you want to, but that will be within the second revision round. This one's kind of coming close up onto here, and so I didn't want to add that into there, especially if anyone's having trouble turning it in right now, because I don't believe I have everybody's. But the 3-scene animation is not going to be in there. The following will. This one. This one. Oh, add this reel and surreal in there too. I'm going to update that. That one, the motion design, and this one. So you should have 5. In fact, I'm going to update that right now as I speak. Let me leave the student view. The real and surreal project. So you will have 5 total projects that should be in there. All right, hold on, you guys. Saving. All right. Now we can look over this. Okay, again. Oh, come on. There we go. So, 5 total project revisions, right? The bouncing ball, typography and motion, Cinema 4D Principles of Motion Graphics, After Effects Principles of Motion Graphics, and the real and surreal scene. And so you're going to take all of those, apply any revisions that I gave to you, and then I want it delivered as a single MP4 with all of the revisions combined into that one file. And then 1920 by 1080, and then send that in. And so that is due March 22nd by midnight. So you guys have a good amount of time to get that kind of stuff done, especially because if you've been doing it already, you're ahead of it, ahead of the game. Now, the other thing that I wanted to touch on, and this is the last thing we're going to talk about today, is this one, design your own 3-scene animation. So, coming up here on, here, let me put, the Artist of Promise is something that happens every semester or every year. And you submit work into the digital media arts program, like you submit any kind of work, whether it's illustrated, animated, film, any kind of stuff. And you go up against, essentially, it's a competition. You go up against your fellow classmates and just everyone in the programs, whether it's film, they're in photography, they're in art, you know, there's different sections, right? They're not going to just put someone's animation against an illustration. It's not comparable at that point, but they will have anyone, all of your peers within the animation classes will be submitting things, and then they pick the best one of the what they feel is the best. There's a committee who is going to come in and look at your guys' work and decide, okay, this one deserves the gold, right? And so I want you guys to be able to do that. And unfortunately, I found out today we really can't we can't submit the Monarch Butterfly one because it's not really all of your guys' stuff. Even though you illustrated all of it, it's not, or like 99% of it was illustrated by you guys. It still needs to be all of your work. And so that is where this one comes in. Designing your own 3D animation. The Artist of Promise deadline, submission deadline is, dun, 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 dun. I think it's the Tuesday after. So the 21st, let me just 3/21/2023. I believe that's right. Let me look at my calendar here. I'm not done typing, so yeah, nope, yep, yes, March 21st is when that will be due. And so, if you guys feel like you want to get ahead, right? Because this is going to be a project that we end up doing anyways. No matter if you get a head start on it now or later, but I'm giving you guys the opportunity to do this now because you just did the 3-scene animation. And so that you guys have a chance to submit your work, right? Because I actually won one year when I was in your guys' shoes in the digital media arts program. And so it's important. It's something you can put on your resume at some point, right? You know, you won an award for your work. And so this one is going to be very similar to the Monarch Butterfly, but you're designing everything. So you are going to design, you're going to pick out music, right? You're going to write a script, which is going to have, let me put off to the side the kind of things that you're going to end up doing. All right. How do I change the size of that? There we go. Nice. Okay, so the first thing you would need to have is a topic. You'll pick your topic. And then it should be a non-fiction topic, so something real, right? So I'll show you examples here, but you know, the best way to go about this is about some maybe facts about something you guys really like, whether it's an animal, like animal facts, or something that you would see, like how something is made, right? But you want to make it short. It doesn't have to be long. It's only going to be 3 scenes. So just only a couple facts about something is important. But make sure that it's real and not something like Star Wars, you guys, because that's just not what the project is asking. We're asking for real stuff because these are what this is essentially called an infographic. And an infographic is infographics. The infographic show. This one's a good one. And they just create all these animations about facts of different things, you know. Whether I agree with all of them or not. I mean, obviously these are the newest ones, but like someone lost 76 days out at sea. You know, they're taking news stories and like information and they're turning it into these animations. They illustrate them and animate them and then put them out here and look how many followers like this place has. 12 million followers. And it's a great way to digest information. So not only are you going to have your not only are you going to have to pick out your topic. So pick a topic. Then you're going to have to write 2 to 3 facts, which will be essentially your script. And then you will have to record your voiceover. And you can do that through your microphones, like using, you can use your headphone mics, anything like that. Make sure it sounds like decent audio. It's not got a bunch of noise in it. If you guys need help doing that, you can reach out to me and I will help you. And I'll like try and record something with you, and that way you guys can use mine, or you guys can opt to use your own and do your own, right? And then you're going to create your own assets. Well, you'll find music. I recommend YouTube Music because if you put this online, right, it can get copy stricken. So don't use copyrighted music. So I don't want to hear your favorite artists and stuff like that. Although I know it's fun to do that. Let's try and find some free DMCA free or whatever it is audio for there. And then you're going to create your own assets. And then you're going to animate, right? The best thing to start off with here is a plan. So in between these two steps, oh, dang it. Let me see if I can undo that. In between the scripting step and the voiceover step, you're going to want to create a storyboard. And a storyboard is something that essentially plans out your animations. And it plans out motion, right? So you're going to want to, here's a great one. Scene by scene of what will happen inside of here. Does yours have to be this detailed? No. But just having some kind of illustrated plan down on what you kind of want your scenes to be will help you in the long run, because then it'll tell you what kind of assets you need to make for your scenes. Like this one right here, obviously, they're going to need to illustrate, like we'll look at this one right here. You have to make trees and this part of the hill and this part and the bushes and this tree and then the guy on his motorcycle. So, but it just essentially just lays out all of your scenes and your shots. And we're gonna, when we get further in and we actually do this as an assignment, you guys can, we'll go over those first and I'll like approve things and I'll let you know, hey, this might look better. But again, this is not due right away. Okay. This is not something that you guys, it's like a timeline and you guys have to get done. This is an optional project to get started on. And then we'll go over this later, right? But it's going to take probably 4 to 8 hours, I would say. So you're going to want to keep that in mind when you're doing that. And then these are some great
Sharks
examples.
have this organ called the ampulla of Lorenzini. These are mucus-filled pores that detects the electric field the shark's prey produce when their muscles contract. So even if a fish is hiding, the shark will be able to find it.
They got credits at the end. Just a few facts about the sharks. Here's a good one about lemurs. So if I make this one big, you guys can watch this one. And these are from previous classes.
The tropical rainforests of the Congo River Basin provide rich habitat to many species. One such species is the hero shrew. Like other shrews, the hero shrew lives on a diet of insects, small amphibians, and reptiles. Unlike other shrews, the hero shrew, or armored shrew, has an especially strong and flexible spinal column that allows it to bear great amounts of weight.
There we go. That was a cool one. And so you guys can go through and watch these and kind of get an idea of what you would want to do. And since you're creating these individually, right, and these are going to be your own design of animations, I'm not going to go through this step by step. You're going to really just kind of have to figure things out based on what we've learned so far in class. Notice like in those videos, there's a lot of things that you guys already know how to do. There's transitions in there, things that we've already done in this monarch butterfly animation. You can use the similar layout to the monarch butterfly animation, but do your own topics. Like I think this one, maybe has similar things.
Persian New Year
Yeah.
is celebrated primarily in Iran, Afghanistan, Turkey, and even Syria. The
There's a
tradition
couple
is
things
set to
obviously
celebrate the
that could
arrival
be
of spring.
changed on there, but
The holiday has 7 symbolic items that all start with the Persian letter S.
but it's essentially the same layout, just with different facts of something else. And so if you guys want to start working on this project, right, these are great examples of what you can do. Take what you learned in this monarch butterfly video, what you learned in the monarch butterfly project, and then apply it, right? These are some good techniques on things that you've learned, and different techniques for like tails and wings. Also some Illustrator tools to go over. Your process is you're going to write a script with a couple sentences. Don't reuse the assets from the monarch butterfly one. And you're going to take all the skills that you've learned and you're going to apply it there. We haven't really talked about rigging here. So if you guys do decide to do this stuff early, let me know and we can talk about it. We can go over, or I can have Belle or someone. We'll work it out with you guys, right? Because I want you guys to have a shot at working in or getting this Artist of Promise. You're going to use multi-part animated elements. Like we didn't do the robot arm yet. We will do that in later class. Let me see here. So just kind of disregard that one for now. But the butterfly, that's rigged, right? The butterfly is essentially rigged because the wings are connected to the body, to the abdomen. Don't use text in any of your scenes or type, right? This is all about infographics. We're telling a story with our voice and with images. The only text that you will have in there is in your credits for your name. And you will have to have your credits in. And picking that nonfiction topic. You can, but you're not required to do the scenes laid out in the same way as the monarch butterfly. And this is like, again, this is a design class. So considering that, look at the layout of your scene. Use the consistent color palettes. Take notes of chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 on this LinkedIn Learning page. And then use a consistent illustration type. I want to see things that you guys are making, right? Not things you're finding online that you're mishmashing together. It's not about that. It's about your art and your work. And I know you guys are all really good illustrators, so I have faith that you can do that. Here's some processes that you can do it about recording your voiceover, sketching your scenes out before you and creating like a list of your assets that you need to create. So like I kind of went through that one scene and I was like, okay, we would need trees, like a few different trees. We're going to need bushes. That's what you do by listing out your assets. You're going to take inventory of your scenes and create, take those assets and create them in Illustrator. Let me see, and export them as PNG files or import them as the actual working files into After Effects. And just kind of go through this list and you can put together your own, what's happening? You guys can put together your own video. Here's the requirements of it. Because again, this is going to be a project that we actually do probably a few weeks after spring break. We didn't quite get to it just yet. Again, this is optional. It's just for the Artists of Promise. If you guys are feeling gung-ho and like you're a go-getter and you want to get that kind of stuff done, you can do this. And then you'll have a break in a few weeks when we have this assignment and we actually talk through it and do it, right? But I really want to get to the robot arm one before I actually teach this class to you guys. So, because I want you to know how to rig. But if you feel like you can do it, if you want to go for it, here are the requirements of it. Greater or less than 10 or greater or equal to 10 seconds without the credits. All right. The credits don't count. They have to be at least 3 scenes. 2 sentences of voiceover. That's why I said 2 facts. Has to have the background music. And here is a link that you can get that background music from, right? And now you guys kind of know how to animate to the beat. So you guys can do that. Credit yourself using animation and then your name. And then credit your soundtrack. You have to credit the artist that you use inside of there as well. If you guys watch the example videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. It has to be 1 MP4 encoded for Vimeo, 1920 by 1080. And then you can also post it into Slack if you guys want to give each other feedback on your videos. But this, again, I want to stress that this is not due right away. The project that is due right away is going to be your guys' revision round, which I went over. This one is just kind of a head start to get something into the Artists of Promise if you guys want to, because it has to be your own work. And this is the perfect project for that since we just learned the butterfly one. So if you're interested in doing this, reach out to me and let me know. And then I can work with you next week during spring break if you guys need the help. And we can, help you, any kind of scenes that you want to do that you might not know a technique for. I can go over technique with you. And so we can do that and get that done. And with that being said, right, I will be unavailable pretty much throughout the weekend from tomorrow through Sunday. You can still write me. It doesn't mean I won't get it. I just might not be able to answer it until next week at some point. And if for some reason it's an urgent question and I'm not answering right away, or I'm not able to get to it immediately, then reaching out to Belle or Casey Farina is the options that you guys have. 2 other options that you guys have if I'm not available right away. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. I really hope that's kind of where we're at for this class. It's going to be a short class today because I don't really want to overload you guys with a bunch of stuff before you go on to spring break. Let me open something because this actually helps with my lighting. There we go. But I really hope that you guys enjoy your spring break. I hope that you spread out. How I would do the revision round is I would take each project and every couple days do a project and make the revisions. If you guys have questions on that, you can share those questions with me. And other than that, you know, enjoy your time off. Enjoy the short class time, because then when we come back, we're going to get right into it. And we're going to be doing a bunch more other stuff. And yeah, so have fun. Adios, you guys. I can't wait to see. I hope you guys really, I hope someone does one that wants to submit it into in for the Artist of Promise, because I would love to see one of my class members win, right? The first time that I like, oh, that would be great. Bragging rights, I would say. So if you guys want to make me look good, I'm just saying. But you